What if I told you that the world you see every day, the one you can touch and measure, is just the surface layer? What if just beyond our normal senses, there are entire realities, higher worlds, vibrating with life and meaning, just waiting for us to tune in? Well, today we're diving into Rudolf Steiner's incredible guide, How to Know Higher Worlds. This isn't just a book of philosophy, it's a practical manual for a journey into the unseen.
Okay, let's just stop and think about that for a second, because Steiner kicks things off with a pretty radical claim. This ability to see higher worlds, it's not for some special chosen few. It's not for mystics on a mountaintop. He's saying that this capacity is built into every single one of us. It's like a muscle we all have, but most of us never even knew it existed, let alone how to train it. The path, he says, is open to absolutely everyone.
So how do you start training that muscle? Steiner calls the process esoteric training. And yeah, I know that word can sound a little out there, but he treats it incredibly practically. This isn't about just believing in something. Think of it more like an inner workout routine. It's a disciplined, step-by-step method designed to awaken brand new senses, spiritual eyes and ears that can actually perceive these other dimensions.
But hold on, before you can even start the first exercise, Steiner says there's a gate you have to pass through. There's a certain inner attitude you have to adopt first. And this isn't just a friendly suggestion. He says it's a non-negotiable prerequisite. You can't start the journey until you walk through this very specific door.
And there it is. The first step on this path isn't something you do, it's a way you have to be. Steiner is crystal clear. The entrance to higher knowledge is guarded by this door of humility. If you don't have the key, which is this sense of humility, the door stays locked. It doesn't matter how hard you push. So, what does that actually mean in practice?
Well, this is a real challenge for most of us, isn't it? Our modern world pretty much trains us to be critical, to judge, to immediately look for the flaw in everything. Steiner says that habit literally drains the inner energy you need for this work. The antidote? Reverence. A feeling of deep, genuine respect for the world, for knowledge, for other beings. This isn't about being passive. It's about opening yourself up. It's an act of power that builds the very foundation you need to see beyond the surface.
The second key to that door is inner quiet. And the practice Steiner gives is so simple but so powerful. He says, just for 5 minutes a day, take a step back from the rush. Look back on your day, but here's the trick. Review it like you're a complete stranger watching a movie. No judgment, no getting caught up in the drama. When you do this, you start to awaken something he calls the higher self, that quiet, calm observer inside you that is separate from the chaos of everyday life. All right, so once that foundation of reverence and inner quiet is in place, the real training montage can begin. This is where we get to the fascinating hands-on exercises that are specifically designed to build these new spiritual senses from the ground up.
The first exercise is beautiful, and you can do it anywhere. Go find a plant. First, look at one that's growing, blooming, full of life. Really try to feel that upward, creative energy in your own soul. Then, turn your focus to a plant that's wilting or decaying. Feel that sense of withdrawal, of life pulling back. By holding these two completely opposite feelings inside you, you start to develop new spiritual organs of perception, senses that can directly perceive the forces of creation and destruction. So what is this new perception actually like? Steiner gives this brilliant analogy of a seed. To our physical eyes, a living seed and a perfect plastic replica could look identical, right? You can't tell the difference. But when you observe them with this new inner sense, the real seed reveals its secret. You start to see the invisible life force within it as a kind of spiritual flame, a glowing potential that the dead, fake seed just doesn't have.
And this is the whole point. The training actually works. All those things that used to be just abstract ideas like life force, growth, decay, they stop being concepts. They start to become perceptible realities. They take on spiritual shapes and colors and forms that become just as real to your inner eye as a chair or a table is to your physical eyes.
And what happens after all this training? What's the ultimate reward? Well, this is where the journey hits its climax. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how you experience reality itself. The world doesn't just look different. For you, it is different.
All of a sudden, the ordinary world becomes extraordinary. That invisible spiritual dimension we talked about, it starts to shine through the physical world. It's like a veil is lifted, and you finally see what was there all along. The world comes alive with spiritual light, colors, and forms that were always present. You just didn't have the senses to perceive them before.
And Steiner is incredibly specific about what this new sight reveals.
You start to see the spiritual blueprint behind a growing plant. You perceive these soul colors, like a spiritual blue that radiates from minerals, a vibrant green from the plant world, a reddish hue from animals. You see the life force of that seed as a literal flame. And maybe the most profound of all, you stop seeing birth and death as a hard start and a final end. Instead, you see them for what they are: simple transformations in a continuous, unending stream of existence.
Now, this whole journey has a map. Steiner organizes it into 3 clear stages. Preparation is all that foundational work, cultivating reverence and inner quiet. Illumination is when the training really kicks in and you start to awaken that inner eye and see these spiritual colors. And that all leads to the final stage, initiation, where you have a direct, conscious relationship with the spiritual world.
But why? Why do all of this? Is the point to just become some detached mystic who floats above the real world? Steiner's answer to that is a hard no. The final, most important part of the journey is about bringing all this new perception back, right into the middle of your everyday life.
Let's bring this right down to earth. This inner work has huge practical benefits. Instead of being thrown around by the chaos of life, you develop an unshakable core of inner calm. Doubt and fear start to fade away, replaced by a deep certainty that comes from seeing the spiritual reality behind things. You stop just reacting to life and start responding with real strength and purpose.
So if you take away one thing, let it be this. This path is not an escape. It's the exact opposite. It's a way to become more present, more engaged, and frankly, more effective in the world you live in. It's about understanding the deep spiritual currents flowing through life so you can navigate your own journey with more wisdom, more courage, and more compassion.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought to ponder. We live in an age that's always looking outward for answers, to technology, to space exploration, to the next big thing. Steiner's work turns that completely on its head. It invites us to consider a different frontier. What if the most profound discoveries, the greatest adventures, aren't out there somewhere, but are simply waiting patiently to be awakened right here inside of us?